Stir up your power, O Lord, and come among us. Amen. Please be seated. There can be considerable distance between certainty and doubt along the journey of faith. It seems John the Baptist has covered that distance in just the past week. We heard from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 3 last Sunday, and today chapter 11. That is fast forwarding through a lot of living and ministry and teaching on the part of Jesus. So flashback to a week ago as we met up with John in the wilderness, catching sight of Jesus among the crowd. He proclaimed, pointing at Jesus, "This is the one!" And now today, the emphatic statement has turned into desperate inquiry. Are you the one? Really? John appears to be feeling very different this morning. Tired, diminished, isolated, confined. He's no longer out in the wild, baptizing people into a new hope. Now, John is in jail, arrested for speaking truth to power. Understandably, John presents as decidedly less convinced about Jesus today than he did before. Sure, John's heard about all the amazing work Jesus is out doing on behalf of all kinds of people all over the place. And yet, there is John stuck in prison, not even a hint of messianic hopes and dreams coming true in his own life, in his own cell. So John has sent a few close friends to Jesus to reassess him and ask him, "Are you the one?" I've been contemplating all week this move John has made from some degree of certainty about Jesus, not a small amount, and now not a small amount of doubt. I know John is not alone. He's got me for company for sure, more than just a few times in my life. And I would dare say nearly all of us are familiar with these movements. A universal human experience of moving between what we think we know pretty well, what we're quite sure of, and what we just don't know. Over and over again. Even on this point, I wonder how many times we hear with John about the glory of God's reign, about the hope of Jesus, of God restoring goodness to the world and setting wrongs right. And we hear credible accounts that it's all true, reports from the field that God's way is coming and God's dream is coming true. And yet, from where I sit, from where we sit, we see lots of places where it hasn't come true yet. And lots of folks, even our own selves, many times, for whom it doesn't seem real. And we have to ask, though it may be happening somewhere, why isn't it happening for me? In my brokenness and grief and pain and vulnerability. So we inquire of Jesus with John, "Are you the one?" We thought so. We hoped so. We just knew it. And this is not unfolding like we imagined it would. Some would tell us that certainty is an essential element of faith and faithfulness. Or they tell us that that is what faith is. Unmitigated confidence and conviction, no matter the evidence around us, head down, forge forward. They would claim that to doubt, and especially to air our dirty doubt laundry in front of everybody, is to be faithless and even unfaithful. But I love what the writer Anne Lamott says about it. She proposes that the opposite of faith is not doubt, it's actually certainty. Because there's so much room for our doubts, for introspection and circumspection, for inquiry and critical thought, for honesty about coming up short and bluntness about running out of gas. And Jesus does with John's folks what he'll do for us. Not argue or scold or shame. No, Jesus does the one thing Jesus will always do. He offers himself. He offers himself as the only answer he's got. Go and tell John what you hear and see. Go and tell John what you hear and see. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the poor have good news brought to them. The work is the witness. His life and the way he lives it is the testimony. This morning we're going to celebrate the baptism of Joan. And there are some certainties with which we come to this day, with which Joan, her parents and godparents, and even her extended family, all of her people, bring forward into this sacramental moment. Joan herself might come with the most certainty of all, safe and confident, settled into the love of her mom and dad and all her people. Seeing Elise drop Joan off at school in the mornings and Jesse pick her up in the afternoons, I have a front row seat to the confidence into which Joan settles in her parents' love. And those who present her for baptism today embrace the role that community, even faith community, can share in supporting and upholding a person as she grows through all the seasons of her life, especially the seasons that involve struggle and doubt, that will inevitably be part of her life because it's inevitably part of all life. And this is what we're signing up for. This is what we're signing up for. Embracing what we can know today and trusting to some extent that the faith and the people of faith will hold us as we go forward through our existence, come what may, certainty and doubt. And through it all, we'll be right here in our own faithfulness, in seeking to follow Jesus as grace, we'll offer ourselves. God willing, we'll never try to refute doubts or diminish questions or act like we have all or even many of the answers. But as Jesus people, I pray our life together will be the witness, that we'll be found doing the work, healing and serving and hoping. Stir up your power, O Lord, and with great might come among us, and let your bountiful grace and mercy speedily help and deliver us. Amen.